Nick, I've been thinking about our deep and long-lasting friendship for some time now, and I think I'm ready to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you want to be my boyfriend? Do you want to be my boyfriend?
See, I thought the question was gonna be, do you have the time to listen to me whine about the Green Day discography all at once?
That would have been less gay.
I suppose, yeah, I suppose so.
We're finally ready to tackle my favorite 80s band, Green Day. And I guess it's the same distance in between episodes for our viewers, which we have apparently seven now. But this was our longest time in between bands. This took 2 months.
By the time this episode's airing, we might have like 12
Three.
viewers.
Oh, you were positive. I was going to say
Oh,
we're going to go down.
Expecting
You drafted Green Day, I think. Do you have a expansive history with them?
I really don't, which is kind of the interesting thing. So, Green Day. So basically, the story of my experiences with Green Day. I became aware of them back in the 2000s during the American Idiot era, and I didn't like them at that point. That's because I was a very politically aware child. I would have been what's 90, like almost about like 11 years old or so, maybe like 12, 13. And I really liked George W. Bush at that point. And Green Day didn't like George W. Bush. And this was during their like mascara, like dark eye makeup era, and so I assumed that they were kind of like a pretty boy, like boy band for emo girls kind of thing. Flash forward to now, I really like Green Day, and I don't like George W. Bush. What changed? Well, for the longest time, I was just kind of aware of them. Like I knew a few songs off of American Idiot, I knew a few of their hits. And then at one point during the pandemic, when we had this horrible, nightmarish, although unrealistic fear that concerts would never happen again, I was watching. I was just got in the habit of watching a bunch of concerts on YouTube because I couldn't go to them. So I was just sitting in my house like I'm gonna watch some concerts. And so I'm looking through YouTube and I see like there's a Green Day live at Reading Festival. I'm like, okay, I'll watch this. They probably put on a pretty decent show. Like because they've been around. I assume any band that's been around for like more than 10 years, if they're on a good night, they'll put on a good show, even if they're not my thing. And it was incredible. It's one of the greatest live concerts that I've watched. That was the moment where I was like, okay, like a switch flipped, and I was like, I like Green Day, and now I have to go get all their albums. But in my fashion, where I just wait for their albums to show up at the thrift store. And here is American Idiot. So that's how I got into Green Day, and was very, very happy with the overall discography for the most part, as we shall see. So, what about you, Joey?
Your story's not too dissimilar from mine. I was in sixth grade when American Idiot came out, and so I feel like every middle schooler in suburbia was aware of that album. That was gigantic. But so I knew the singles. I actually bought 21st Century Breakdown when it came out, and I was sort of disappointed in it because I was a junior in high school then. And then I've just sort of been aware of them. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Blink-182 fan, and those two bands have always been sort of like, not in an aggressive way, but competing for the crown of pop punk kingdom. So I felt like I had my flag in the ground, was like, I'm going to ride with Blink. And so Green Day, they're cool, but they just don't do it for me. And also, they just had a really sprawling discography of songs that sounded very similar. And so it was a little daunting. I was excited to tackle them for this project because I had never really gone deep, and I'm really glad I have. I think they're very good. I will say that, so like I mentioned, I knew the singles from American Idiot. I really liked them a lot. I actually found just today, I remembered that I made a music video when I was in sixth grade to Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And it is very cringy. So I'm ready to bring it forward.
I thought you were going to mention the Christian parody you made of American Idiot with the.
Yeah, so
like
also
like a little bit of Psalm
school,
41 there.
I can drop that too. When I was in middle school, I was a Christian, I guess, parody artist. But it wasn't like parody for humor. It was at the time completely sincere that I just wanted to make Christian versions of songs that I liked. And in this way, I was going to evangelize, and the world would know God through Sinning Idiot was that song. It was the closing track on my debut. And I knew the term, like, screw you, and I didn't know that it had a sexual connotation. I thought it was like, I'm gonna get you, you suck type of thing. And so the last line of the first verse is, "'Cause when I die, I go down to hell, and in hell I'd screw Satan. I'd screw Satan." It's, once I read it heard it as an adult, I don't even know how to describe the feeling that I felt. Embarrassment, shame, humor. But yeah, I had completely forgotten about that until you brought that up. So thank you for.
Yeah, that definitely shades of Sum 41 there. I was going to give my story from high school by Green Day, which was that I was in this ill-fated band, and we had this horrible idea to be a covers band. Why? I don't know. Because if you play original music and you're in high school, if you're bad, nobody will know it's bad because you can convince them that was how the song was supposed to sound. Anyway, we had this one guy who was supposed to be our bass player who couldn't play bass, and I distinctly remember trying very hard to teach him how to play Know Your Enemy by Green Day. First of all, it's not even close to their best song. And I'm trying to teach him how to play this on bass, and it's like, man, in retrospect, we should have just written our own songs and been like, here, you play the bass, and just kind of turn it down. Now, he's a nice guy. He wasn't a good bass player, but he's a nice guy. He has a beautiful wife and family now, and I have a lot of books. So I guess we both ended up what we deserved. So anyway, moving on to Green Day's
39 Smooth, their debut in April of 1990.
So with Green Day, this will kind of give some context to the entire band. I always lump them in with pop punk bands like Blink-182 and Sum 41. Listening through their discography, especially from the beginning, they seem to me more just like a kind of a punk rock mixed with an old school kind of rock and roll band. They have some surface level similarities to pop punk, but there's a lot of musical differences to where if you really listen to them, they're not really coming out of that tradition at all. It's kind of like convergent evolution where you kind of have a panda bear and a grizzly bear, and they look similar on the outside, but the structure on the inside is completely different. And so this album, it really shows a lot of that. It reminds me a lot, honestly, of a band called Husker Du, especially in terms of the guitar tones used here. It feels like very much trying to be a mix of Husker Du, The Replacements, and Violent Femmes, and maybe a few other bands from that kind of 80s alternative era, and just kind of mixing up all these things that were big in the alternative kind of 80s underground rock scene. Kind of punkish, but not, strictly just sticking to power chords or whatever. I really liked this album. It's a pretty short album too. It does tend to just kind of blend into the background a little bit for me. I think it's because the production isn't quite as crisp and nice. It feels very amateurish. I think it's amateurish in a good way. I definitely want to go back to it. But it doesn't have those, other than about the first 3 or 4 tracks maybe, it feels like sometimes the songs don't stick out as much as they do on later albums. So not really a whole lot to say about it, but again, don't take that as anything bad. I think it's a really solid, enjoyable album if you like this kind of thing.
Yeah, that last line is a good way to describe a lot of their albums. If you like this kind of thing, it's going to be exactly for you because they're not going to do a ton of variation. I read a little review that said it was a collection rich in promise but lacking in real-time impact. And I thought that I agreed with that a lot. You can see, especially for how young they are, they're teenagers. But here we don't have any, I don't think there's a single riff on the full album for 39 Smooth. I think it's just power chords the whole way through. Maybe at the end of Rest,
you get that little harmonic thing on at the library.
Okay, that's fair. There's that. I didn't think about that as a riff, but that is something other than power chords for a second. Yeah, great. But I think the melodies really stand out. I think how else can music like this be impressive? Because it's so simple. That's what really drives it home. I think for a lot of these ideas, they could have trimmed 45 seconds off, and it would have been maybe even more impactful. Some songs stick around too long. I think there were a couple small moments of being out of tempo, but I found that charming. It was just the authenticity of a different time is how I put it. But I think the same 3 songs for me stood out. I got At the Library with Wabase Waska, Don't Leave Me, and I Was There, the top 3. I feel like Green Day often puts their best songs right at the front.
Yeah.
a lot of times. On the whole, it was good. It was just solid. I gave it like a 3 out of 5. Not too long after that, Kerplunk comes out.
I don't have much to say about Kerplunk because it feels a lot like 39 Smooth Part 2. And again, it's kind of a mix of some good songs that I like, some songs that I like, but they kind of blend into the background. They got a little more variety. I like 2,000 Light Years Away, the original version of Welcome to Paradise. I mean, it's not really that different than the radio version, but it's all right. I could have done without Dominated Love Slave. It's not even my favorite BDSM-themed Green Day. At the very beginning of their career, they tried to do like the Blink-182, like crude humor joke track thing, and it just didn't work, and they wisely got rid of it. I think it's another album that's solid. Like, I listened to it a couple times last night, and it's like there's a few standouts and everything else. Like, I kind of like it, but it doesn't all stick in my head the way some of that other stuff does.
Yeah, I agree. On your first thought, I echo that. I said it feels like the same album in a lot of ways, but they do, I feel like, have a little bit of sharper melodies in this time around. It feels a little tighter, but I think I'll kind of attribute that to Trey joining the band. He's really good at exactly what he does. This is when I first started to notice Mike's bass lines, as he's like differing from just following the power chords to doing his literally walking up and down the fretboard. It feels like it's a real good main ingredient to those early Green Day records and what made them work. For me, I felt like Welcome to Paradise and Christy Road were the highlights of the album. But I think in the end it's slightly better than 39 Smooth, so I've got it in my 1 slot. But yeah, not a ton to say about
I think I put it in slot number 2 right now.
You do seem to have a thing for like bands' early raw work when it's just like you like what they're doing. What else did you really like? It's Our Time by 4 Year Strong.
It's Our Time, yeah, and the first My Chemical Romance album from the Lost episode.
R.I.P.
On to the next album, Dookie. This is a stupid name. It's a great album though. And I think for me, this is when they really start to pull things together, and it goes from like, oh, this band is kind of interesting, and they would be kind of a neat footnote to where they really kind of find their style. I'd say almost every song except for maybe like the last 3 are really good. I'm always of the opinion you can usually chop at least 1 song off an album and improve it. So just go all the way up to Amenia Sleepless, We Don't Need In the End, or FOD, and All By Myself is an unfunny joke track. But it starts out great.
Do you like any joke tracks from any band?
No.
How about TPL from the Joey and Tyler project?
The riff did go hard. The problem with joke tracks is most of the time they're not funny, and then if they are funny, they cease being funny like the second time you listen to it. Burnout's great, having a blast. Going from Chump into Longview, some of the songs are a big production now, where you have the big build up at the end of Chump, and then it goes into Pulling Teeth is great.
I had the same note about the interesting instrumental transitions that they start here.
Yeah, it makes it sound coherent, which is what we won't get on a few albums after this, and it's sorely missed. I was going to say, Not Pulling Teeth, Basket Case is great, She is awesome, When I Come Around. It's just a really solid album. There's no, other than the hidden track at the end, there's no tracks I'd be like, I need to skip this. Even the okayish tracks at the end are, still pretty good. They just make the album last a bit too long. It's very, very good, high energy, fun to sing along with, good performances. I can't really say anything. There's not much to say about this album, but all of it that I have to say is good.
I think it starts off with a bang. It's immediately noticeable. It's a step up. I've got it right in my 1 slot. It's crisp, it's bright, it's catchy. I think there's a lot of instances, especially when comparing it from the first 2 records, of like small musical nuances that help make songs memorable because they are so similar. Like the little stop in the chorus of In the End, the drum fills in Burnout, that sort of stuff gives each song its own flavor. And so I think it's just a really great record. It's fun to listen to. And the other thing is you can tell that this would kill in the live environment. Like I'm sure they were a very fun live band coming up. And that's,
they were.
I think there are no weak songs. I even like those last 2 at the end. I think All By Myself is funny. I like joke songs. I like Dominated Love Slave. So we'll have difference of opinion there. But yeah, I think we're in agreement so far that Dookie is their best work to date.
On to Insomniac, a.k.a. we wrote these songs for Dookie, but we couldn't put them on the record. Almost nothing from Insomniac sticks out for me, other than like Geek Stink Breath and Brain Stew, which are a little more like heavy and slower than the stuff on the previous album. They also happen to be, I think, the singles from this. Felt like song ideas for the most part, rather than songs. It felt like snippets of things. A lot of the songs are pretty short, and it's just like, okay, here's something we had that was gonna go on Dookie, and then we didn't have time to do it there, and so now we're just doing this. So we had written this song, and it comes out a year later. It feels rushed. It feels way too long. I mean, it's only 32 minutes, but it's 14 songs, and it doesn't have that coherent feeling that some of those track transitions really gave you on Dookie, and then later on American Idiot. Nothing's bad on here. I don't remember anything that I disliked. I think it's kind of cool they did some heavier stuff. But I don't really, again, it feels like years ago that I listened to it. And honestly, it's kind of hard for me to justify going and listening to it because it's like I could listen to this or I could listen to Dookie, which is better. And I think that's kind of almost a problem with considering Green Day's discography as a whole, is that they have some albums that really outshine the other ones, and a lot of their stuff is kind of samey. So it's kind of like, yeah, I could listen to this, or I could just listen to the same thing but better.
I liked it more than Kerplunk and 39 Smooth, but I agree with you. It's a clear step down from Dookie. I think it's a solid album overall. I've listened to it like 5 or 6 times now, so by this time, the longer I've sat with it, the better it's gotten. But at the beginning, it did feel so similar that it was hard to make out the identity of like individual songs, and I feel like I wonder if part of the reason that songs like Brain Stew were big singles was because they were so different from everything else that they stood out, or or they're just good songs, right? On the whole, I think it's less catchy, but the songwriting is more mature from everything that precedes Dookie. It's a little darker, a little more aggressive. It's not one that I probably will return to a ton.
Moving on, we've got Nimrod. Which again,
I like this one.
Again, I like this one too. I feel like it has the same problems that I feel with Insomniac. I like it more than Insomniac, but I feel like the issues that are in Insomniac are still kind of here. Part of the thing is that it's like this album lasts forever. 49 minutes, 18 songs. It doesn't need to be that long. And of course, listening to Green Day's entire discography already feels like an endurance run because it's all very samey. On the other hand, we get a lot more variety here. So we've got some pretty like traditional punkish, Green Day-ish rock and roll kind of stuff, like Nice Guys Finish Last and The Grouch, which I like. But then we get like Hitch and Ride, which is this kind of like folksy kind of deal. We get like our first ballad with Good Riddance. King for a Day is not even close to my favorite song about being a transvestite. That was another like joke song that was like annoying every time it came back. I was like, okay, this is kind of neat the first time, but I don't really want to listen to circus music.
I had no idea it was about that.
Yeah. Not even close to my favorite song about being a transvestite.
Mine would be Transvestite by Blink-182.
My mom's a transvestite.
Oh, I forgot they did that. See, mine was Vicar in a Tutu by The Smiths. Anyway, yeah, I'd say I'd put this above Insomniac, but this is the same kind of problem of why listen to this when I can listen to Dookie, which is a lot more coherent.
Are you ready for my hot take?
Okay, go for it.
I have this above Dookie.
Okay, that's fair.
First, I thought the length of the album was a weakness. I was like, I am not ready to go through like Insomniac Part 2. But once you hit the middle and the back half, and there's so much variety, I feel like it gives it a lot of personality. It felt to me like a little Green Day buffet. Like, I get some of this, I get some of this, I get some of this. We're going to all be in here in one big pot together. And if it was shorter, it might not have worked as well. Maybe like it wouldn't have had as much of an identity. I don't know if that makes sense. Nice Guys Finish Last. I feel like I'm in for the same thing again. But then the opening of Hitch and a Ride starts, and I go, okay, we're trying something new. That's really fun. Song ends up being awesome. And then we get like Take Back with he's doing some death metal growling, which is so unexpected. We've got Last Ride In, where the band's like, F it, let's drop a surfing James Bond instrumental track. And that pays off.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that one was, I actually did like that, which I usually don't like instrumentals, but it kind of helped break the album up a little bit.
Exactly. And you got Walking Alone with the harmonica, and he's like actually being humble and self-reflective. I thought that was fun. And obviously Good Riddance is a classic to us now, but at the time it's oh, we've got an acoustic ballad at the back half as well. So
Yeah.
it really grew on me quickly, and to the point where, you know, as I'm rating the songs, it technically is the average was 0.01 higher than Dookie, but I was like, that kind of reflects where I feel right now. So realistically, they're probably, you know, 1A, 1B. It's not like one is significantly better than the other one, but as of where I'm standing today, I'd throw that on before I throw Dookie on.
That's completely fair. And yeah, and I think the reason I prefer Dookie is because it's kind of the opposite of the reason why you like this. Like, Dookie all kind of sounds a lot more similar, and it's shorter. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Differing takes.
Yeah, most of the time I'm with you on the shorter album stuff. But yeah. So we go to Warning.
Warning, yeah. So I think Warning it's kind of an interesting, different step for Green Day. It's like Green Day, they always had this kind of, not folksy, but they kind of reminded me of folk music in that a lot of their music's very simple, but very like sing-alongable. It feels like something that's been around forever. And it kind of has that circular feeling to them. And this one, they just go full-on folk. We start out with Warning, and it's just like all acoustic guitars, and it's a song complaining about warning labels. I don't know what the deal is with that. Even Misery, like, it sounds like they went forward in time to rip off what's that band? Goggle Bordello, doing this kind of like dark cabaret, like gypsy jazz kind of thing. But I think this is overall a good album. I really like Castaway, Church on Sunday, which is why they're God's favorite band. Was a good one. I thought Minority was a pretty good song. I think it's a good front-to-back album. Put it maybe just a little bit below Dookie, probably because it doesn't have as many like kind of heavy songs. Yeah, and Blood, Sex, and Booze, which is my favorite Green Day song about BDSM, although not my favorite song about BDSM. That would be...
if that's what that's about, then I would agree with you. That is a much better song.
I think this is a really good, solid album. I think it kind of manages to capture a lot of that variety that they were kind of going for on Nimrod, but condense it down to something that's a little more manageable in terms of listening to it, just 12 songs.
And that's interesting. I'm glad, in a sense, that we have such different tastes. I found it the opposite of that. But we agree. I had a much more groovy. It's less punk, a lot more mid-tempo songs, and a lot of layered acoustic guitars that give this sort of like percussive feel to the whole thing. But I think the songs start to feel too long for me. I have the Nimrod is 8 minutes longer, but feels much shorter than this to me. But it seems like you have the opposite thing. Minority, definitely the real standout. That's a great banger. I think the beginning and the end couple tracks would have made a solid EP together that I probably would have found much more favorable. But the middle of it just kind of weighs down for me. I think it all just sounds so similar, and it's not exactly what I go to Green Day for, that it just comes lower to me. I still do have it above Kerplunk, so I've got it in my 4th slot right now. It's nothing special.
Speaking of memorable, we'll skip over Shenanigans, which was a B-sides collection, and go to American Idiot. Really the big statement of this. I think this is really good. So this comes out, and I guess Green Day started this, and then maybe they didn't start it, but they kind of were the main exponent of it, and then Sum 41 kind of did it too. But this kind of album that is supposedly about George W. Bush, this kind of evil stepfather figure to a lot of punk rockers. And it starts out, you think it's going to be like this sort of political album with American Idiot on there, and it's really not. It's about some bizarre story that like only Billy Joe Armstrong and the people who went to go see that Broadway show know what it's about. And there's like St. Jimmy and like what's her name and all these people that I don't care about. As far as like a concept record goes, I think the concept is kind of pointless. I don't know what's going on. But the one thing I will say about that is I think it did help them craft an album that feels very coherent. It feels like it's telling a story, even though that's kind of smoke and mirrors, where the sequencing just works really well. It has very good highs and lows. It starts off with something really fast and punky and similar to what they've done in the past, but it's a little more produced. Then we get this Jesus of Suburbia, which is this kind of epic. Again, it's kind of smoke and mirrors because it's more just like about 4 songs kind of just glued together, but they make it work on this one. Holiday into Boulevard of Broken Dreams is good. I think Boulevard of Broken Dreams is, even though it's been played to death, I think it's a great song. It's one of those where, hearing it as like a teenager, as a young man, this wasn't my kind of music back then anyway. And I was like, this is just fake angsty stuff for like 13-year-olds. Like, mom made me do the dishes. I walk a lonely road. And then like I get older, and it's like, okay, no, now I actually understand like what he's saying. This guy, like Billy Joe Armstrong, he's got to be like late 20s at best at this point. Like, this band's been around for a while. And so these kind of lyrics I would have dismissed as angsty. Like, now I really feel they hit harder when you've been through stuff. Oh, Wake Me Up When September Ends. That's another one. That's about the death of his dad. And that's another song. Again, I don't think it can be ruined by overplaying. The main thing I would say, main criticism I would have that makes it not like a perfect album is, other than the reliance on this rock opera gimmick, there's too many slow songs that are just kind of draggy, and it does help to kind of get the flow of the album going, but stuff like Are We the Waiting, Give Me Novocaine, Extraordinary Girl, What's Her Name, I would not listen to those on their own. They work in the context of the album to get some kind of flow, but they're just kind of boring if you take them by themselves. And so I feel like this album is, in some ways, again, due to some really great sequencing, makes it feel like it has some ups and downs, but it's a bit of the less than the sum of its parts.
I also praised the sequencing. The transitions in this album are excellent, top-notch sequencing too. I think it's easily the best album so far, a sprawling anthemic rock masterpiece. It puts them back into relevance as they were fading. By the second song, by Jesus of Suburbia, you know you're listening to something special. Like that they're going for it with this 9-minute, cut and paste of 5 songs together, but it's still, they're doing something and it works. And then in classic Green Day fashion,
pasted the right 5 songs.
Yeah, they did. And the first, 4 songs in this case are the best. But Holiday Boulevard, Broken Dreams, Wake Me Up When September Ends, American Idiot are among the best Green Day songs in their whole catalog, and they're all on this album. It's excellent. The guitar tones are here. And my final point is, when they make a Broadway musical out of your album, I think it's safe to say you made a good album. So
I don't know if I can put it at the top of my list or not, or if I put Dookie there, but it's close. All right, on to American Idiot Part 2, 21st Century Breakdown.
It's the longest gap in between their albums.
Yes, and it shows.
I have here 1,698 days. A long time to wait and build your anticipation just to be disappointed.
Well, here's the thing. So going into this album, I knew that my expectations of it were like, this is going to be like, just a less good version of American Idiot. This is going to suck. So I tried to have a better view of it. There's some really good stuff on here.
I honestly had the same exact experience.
There's a couple really good songs on here. The problem is that there's a bunch of stuff they just needed to cut out. Like, American Idiot starts out with a title track. It's like super like loud and fast, exciting. This starts out with like a piano, and then it goes into a mid-tempo song, 21st Century Breakdown, which is okay, but it didn't need to be at the front. And then it goes on to Know Your Enemy, which is like a lame version of American Idiot, which that needed to be cut out. But if it didn't get cut out, it needed to get put in the front. And again, there's some good stuff on here, but a lot of it sounds like Know Your Enemy sounds like a lame version of American Idiot. East Jesus Nowhere sounds like a lame version of Holiday. 21 Guns sounds like a lame version of Wake Me Up When September Ends. I think American Eulogy, Mass Hysteria / Modern World. Oh, now we're doing Jesus of Suburbia again, but this time it's different. Same with like See the Light, and it kind of fades into the beginning of the track. This would have been better as an EP, or if it had a lot of judicious cuts and maybe some completely different songs. The good stuff is really good. The bad stuff just feels like filler. Yeah, good songs. Album suffers.
It's like Insomniac Part 2 in that they were trying to do the preceding breakthrough record did, and it just falls not as good as that. I go back and forth on whether I feel like it is fully sincere, or if they are like, you know what, American Idiot revitalized our career, let's do another rock opera because that's what we do now. Or if that was the song of his heart, or if it was just like, let's get in arenas, let's do this. That said, it is very polished production. I do like how it sounds. but it is bloated. It is 70 minutes long, just about, and that is too long for an album. 5-year gap or not. I do think the artwork shows to me that it, I mean, I could be reading into it, but it feels like it's the first time in their career that they're kind of over the age hill, and they're trying to harken back to the feelings of youth with this, like, kind of I want to say 1920s. You tell me if you think it's a better decade. Like the young guy and the girl, and they're kissing, and rather than the other ones that are, I don't know, just they're living life. Peacemaker, I like. Viva La Gloria! And Viva La Gloria? 21 Guns, I used to like. I think it's kind of boring. Did you notice that Billy Joe uses the N-word in American Hysteria?
Wait, what? That's insane. No, I did not. I didn't check that.
You didn't check it. I always check before I listen to an album. Is there an N-word? Go to the 1 minute mark of.
Do not go to the 1 minute mark of American Eulogy. Nah. I think probably it was just, everybody realized that there was a context to it. And again, this was kind of pre.
Exactly. He wasn't being.
There was no clout to gain from this because everybody, you didn't have social media where you could kind of grab people who weren't familiar with what was going on and try to show them something out of context.
Yeah, my only last point on it is that despite being broken up into 3 acts, the album doesn't flow that well to me. Like there isn't much to differentiate the acts. Maybe in the story, but I can't really follow the story. Just as a listening experience alone, it's like being hit with the same thing again and again. A lot of songs that are 4 minutes long that don't need to be that long. So while the individual pieces might have good quality, like if you just take one song and on a burnt CD or something, but when you're doing it as a cohesive experience, it doesn't work well. So I've got it in my 4 slot because a lot of the songs did grow on me in the end, but just together, way too bloated.
Gotcha. All right. Moving on now.
Speaking of bloated.
Yeah. The trilogy.
So in September of 2012, Uno comes out. I feel like it's kind of an attempt to go back to basics while accepting that they're middle-aged men now, so it's not going to be as fast. So we got some mid-tempo melodic rock that doesn't really do much for me.
This ain't it. I kind of understand what they were doing here. Kind of. The problem is, first of all, this is way too long. The first one I think was the best. The problem is, when they do these songs live, then they did several of them live. They did like Stay the Night and Let Yourself Go. Those songs are awesome live. If they had played them like the way they played them live on these albums, they would have been awesome. But every performance on these albums, it feels quantized, it feels slow, it feels boring. The guitar tones are wimpy. The band doesn't sound like they're having fun. Maybe they were, but they don't sound like they are. They're going through the motions. Every song that could be good is boring. Every song that wasn't good is bad. There's way too much like folksy stuff. There's way too much corny stuff.
It's fine. It's not exciting. As I've said for a handful of these, as a collection, boring. It's too similar. Many songs are overstaying their welcome. I've got it right in my 9 slot. And 50 days later, Dose comes out.
On Dose, we have the song F-Word Time. Don't get mad at me for censoring it out because they did that on the CD release. It's the cringiest lyrics that have ever been put to recording. And then he doesn't even enunciate the title properly when he sings it. So it sounds like he's singing about a delicious Vietnamese soup. And there's a lot of this kind of, they try to do this kind of like old time rock and roll kind of thing with like that song or like Lady Cobra. But the production is just so tame, it doesn't work. And they'll try to do this thing, usually going from this forward, where they try to do this, it's this kind of like old school rock and roll, but like sleazy whiskey and women kind of vibe. And whenever they do it, it just comes off as like mean-spirited. And it works if you're Motorhead, but Green Day works for me best when they have this kind of youthful innocence vibe. And even when now that they're not youthful, when they do this kind of like innocent, like happy kind of thing, it works better when they do this. I'll tell you about a woman named Lady Cobra. And it's like, no, you're not like some 50-year-old dude in Mississippi playing the blues. It doesn't work. Nightlife is whose idea was it to get this girl to do like this horribly cringy like sexual rap? Sexy and Green Day are words that don't need to be in the same sentence.
For my specific tastes, I feel like it has some of the best songs in the trilogy. I really like Lazy Bones. I like Lazy Bones a lot, actually. I like Baby Eyes, Wild Ones, Stray Hearts. Unfortunately, it also has some of the lowest moments of these 3 albums. Makeout Party, Nightlife, Amy. They miss the mark or they're boring. I mean, Nightlife really misses the mark. I don't really like Makeup Party either. I don't want to hear 40-year-old guys singing Kiss Me There. Like, that feels personal. We've got the highs and the lows, and the middle doesn't do enough to raise it above its predecessor for me, so I've got it in my 10 slot. And then the opposite of 21st Century Breakdown, we have our shortest gap between releases. 29 days later, Dre comes out. Starts off with a 5-minute ballad, and that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the record.
Drama Queen, is that about his child? If it is, you never need to put songs about your children on an album. They're never good. Just save them for your wife. I'm sorry. What was it? Ex-Kid. That could have been a good song, but again, boring production, boring performance.
All these songs are either too long or feel too long, and so it does not work well. Drama Queen is nice sounding, but Daddy's Little Bundle of Joy is old enough to bleed now. It's very cringy to me. I don't need to hear about your daughter going through puberty, and if it's not about that, make it more clear to me. So a lot of these songs feel like meandering, half-baked ideas. They just seem tired by this point. Like, I know that I assume they were all recorded together in one session, but why did you save like the slowest ones for the end where you feel like you are falling asleep? Like 8th Avenue Serenade is a cool sounding song, but it somehow feels like it's 4 minutes and it's not even 3. Middle of the album is so boring. Walk Away feels like a demo at points. Dirty Rotten Bastards and 99 Revolutions at the back half are probably the best songs from the album. They come way too late to save it. So I've got it in my lowest Green Day album spot. I got it in the 11th spot.
This should have been one album. They should have done all the songs live and then just like touched them up in the studio, and it could have been really good. This is an album that didn't need to be 3 albums, and I think they were just phoning it in at this point.
I do think it's kind of funny that Billy Joe, I assume, seems to love A-named girls. He's got Amanda, Amy, and Ashley, Adeline later coming. They all have songs written about them. I don't know why he chooses them.
His wife is named Adrian.
So it's
maybe that's why.
Artistic liberty.
Like maybe if he did like 20 songs named Adrian, we'd kind of get tired of it. So you just got to go with similar ones.
You learn something new every day. So from here on out, we are just doing 4-year gaps. On to the next one, Revolution Radio.
Now that they have another like Republican president, stepfather figure to rebel against, their music is good again. I like this album. I think it's a bit too long, and then Ordinary World needed to be cut out because it was a ballad, and it sounded like something that you would watch like a suburban couple do their first dance to at a really long and boring wedding reception. Most of the other stuff is good. I like Somewhere Now, Revolution Radio. Say Goodbye. It sounds like it's trying a little too hard to be trendy. I still like it, even though it is like the kind of shuffle beat that signals a band in decline. I think they did a good job of it. It feels trendy, but it feels unique enough to be Green Day. Still Breathing, I thought, was a great song. Youngblood was pretty awesome. That's another song I'm pretty sure is about his wife. So again, I think it's like a few weak songs on there, but a lot of stuff that I put just as good as anything on American Idiot or
That blows my mind. I feel like this is if they had taken the trilogy and turned it into one album. And what I mean by that is like the best ideas of a big set, but it feels like a similar style to me. It feels like dad rock. Going through the last 3 albums and having a 4-year gap, I wanted more from them. To me, Troubled Times and Outlaws a little bit are really good. They're the standouts to me. I will say actually probably Bang Bang, especially that drum fill at the end of the final chorus. That is pretty fun. But the rest is just kind of average or slightly above average for me. I've got it in my 7th slot. Certainly not bad. On the whole, I just think the 2010s weren't for Green Day. They were a band trying to redefine themselves, and I'm probably not going to return to their work from that time very frequently.
You're missing out.
It's
I
not
really
bad.
did. I felt like this album, they came back out of the rut of 21st Century Breakdown and the Trace trilogy.
All right, so we have another 4-year gap. Get this one in. And we have Father of All Motherfuckers, which I don't know what that means, but it is definitely the most...
Father of All ... Like, who knows what it could be the father of Spotify.
Yeah, and some releases, maybe it's a choose your own adventure.
So, this album, okay, so when this came out, and I remember, actually, this is one of the few albums on this podcast where I, listened to it when it came out. And it was like the bald dude, Anthony Fantano, was talking about how it sucked. And I don't really follow Fantano that much, but for some reason I saw that video and I was like, I listened to it, like, yeah, this is garbage. They just did this to spite the label because it was their last album with the label. Looking back on it, no, I actually think this album is fairly good. I do think they did it despite the label, but I think what they did was there was a kind of music that they wanted to do, and it wasn't really Green Day, but they were like, you know what, this is our last album, we're just going to go with it. And the reason it now makes sense to me is having listened to a lot of their other stuff, they have a lot of this kind of old-time rock and roll, almost rockabilly garage kind of thing going on, and especially on Unos Dos Tres, and it feels like here they actually kind of made it work. On the negative side, it does sound like kind of car commercial music, where it's very very kind of, it's supposed to sound raw, but on the other hand, it's very produced. It's got these synths, and you kind of know when the claps are going to come in, and it sounds kind of chintzy and a little too trendy, and like something that's, I don't know, playing at a clothing store or like on a car commercial or something. But I think the first 4 songs are good. I think Sugar Youth is really good, and I think it was like, I like Junkies on a High. Everything else could have been cut out. It should have been an EP. Stab You in the Heart, again, it's that like dirty rock and roll, sex, drugs kind of thing that just sounds mean whenever Green Day does it. It doesn't really work. Let's see, and then Take the Money and Crawl was too slow, and Graffitia was corny. But the first about 5 songs and Sugar Youth were just, Sugar Youth just sounds like a Green Day song with just some weirder production. The first 5 songs don't really sound like Green Day, but they do a good job of that kind of style that they were doing. I really liked Fire Ready Aim. I thought Oh Yeah was good. I liked Meet Me on the Roof was really fun. On the other hand, we do have the Symptom of a Band in Decline, which is that Oh Yeah is based around a sample that's just, it's like completely ripping off another song with the Oh Yeah. It's not like the sample is redone. It's like Uma Thurman by Fall Out Boy, where they're just like, let's just take this riff and we're just completely stealing it. And it's from a song that's, again, with Green Day trying to be sexy. It was taken from a song called like Do You Want to Touch Me There, or something like that, which Joan Jett was known for doing it, and it was sexy when she did it. But it was originally by this dude named Gary Glitter, who was a pedophile. And so it's like really creepy when you listen to his version. He went to jail. Good riddance. Not the time of my life. But disregarding the origins of that, I still like that song. So yeah, a neat concept. I think it should have been like a Pax Am Days EP kind of, rather than like an entire album. But it's short, so if you don't like it, it's over in like less than half an hour.
It's definitely the most unique album in their discography. I felt like forever I couldn't wrap my head around how the title track was Green Day, because he's singing falsetto, and that is so weird and antithetical to Billy Joe. But yeah, they're trying all sorts of things here. Like Oh Yeah sort of sounds like Weezer in the chorus, or like late stage Switchfoot. Stab You in the Heart is like a 50s, 60s rock song. And Junkies on High, it's got this weird like halftime vibe that feels brand new to them. But they've got these like effects on it that felt like 2010's Fall Out Boy. And then when I heard that, I realized how ironic it was that this album came out right before Hella Mega Tour, when they were going on tour with Weezer and Fall Out Boy, and it was like, oh, you're just grabbing from everybody. Some of it hits, some of it doesn't. I think if that they were a more like ironic or self-aware band, or whatever Weezer is, this would land a lot more well as like a fun experiment after 30 years of being a band together, right? Again, having been 4 years from their previous and 4 years till the next, it's like, this is what Green Day, this is the best of what we got right now. And I think for that reason, it was a little more divisive. But still, I'm pro fun. It's a breezy 26 minutes, so I'm not a hater. I do have it in my 9 slot, but I think it's, this time around, more fun than I gave it credit for when it came out.
All right.
All right. I'm nervous to hear what you think of this one, because you normally hate bands' last albums.
Yeah, because normally bands' last albums, they try too hard to jump on trends that don't work with their kind of music, and their music is overproduced and slow and boring. This is not that. This is a great album. Now, I do have a sneaking suspicion that that Rivers Cuomo like wrote half the songs on here and produced it. This sounds way closer to Weezer sometimes than Green Day, but it's awesome. Like so there's this kind of narrative that goes along with rock bands, like, rock music. It's a young man's game. Your first, it's going to be like your first 3 albums or so are going to be your best. You're going to peak early, and then once you get past a certain age, you can't ever do anything that's ever any good. They might as well hang up their hats. I think this totally disproves that. I can't stand that narrative because it's just not true. I think a lot of people, as they get older, they give a new album, they don't listen to it, or they just listen to it once. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's not the album I listened to when I was in high school. It's you that sucks. It's not Green Day. It's not you, Joey, but you, Corporal. No, this is awesome. This is their best since American Idiot. If the only thing that makes it not as good as American Idiot or Dookie is it just has a few songs that I would want to cut out. Mainly Fancy Sauce, which sounds like a boring Weezer song. Father to a Son, again, I don't need to hear a song about your children. They're great. And then what was it, like One-Eyed Bastard, again, like Angry Green Day, Sleazy Green Day doesn't work. And I think there was maybe one other song. But no, this is great. Like, Look Ma, no, like, from the moment this kicks in, it's like, man, Green Day is back, and it's not just because this is the newest album and I've been waiting for it. Like, I thought that was first, like, maybe it's just me. No, this is awesome. The production is great. Like, Look Ma, No Brains. Like, we got Fast Green Day back. Bobby Sox is like Green Day doing Weezer, and it's now like Happy Innocent Green Day is back, and the same with like Dilemma. 1981 is like fun, fast Green Day. Coma City, like that might be my favorite Green Day song, and this is on the new album, and it doesn't sound like anything that Green Day ever did before or after. Like this is gonna dominate my like top 5 list, to be honest, because it's just so good, and it's like they need to do like 5 more albums like this. Like, if this is new Green Day, I'm all here for it. I think they're firing on all cylinders. I feel like it just took them a little while, with the dip of the trio album, and again, Billy Joe getting sober. I think that's kind of been on an upward trajectory since then. So yeah, nothing really bad to say about this album. I think it's awesome. This will be the one that I come back to the most. It's not one that I'm already familiar with.
I'm very excited to hear that we agree. I love it. Such an unexpected return to form. Really came out of left field for me. It's aggressive. It's fun. It's catchy. It's familiar, but fresh. And Nimrod ended up throwing a wrench in my theory, but my original working theory was that Green Day could only release good albums in years that ended in a 4, because this is the 30-year anniversary of Dookie and the 20-year anniversary of American Idiot and the 10-year anniversary of Nothing. So I really look forward to whatever their 2034 release is. Bobby Sox and Dilemma have me screaming at the top of my lungs in my car, much to the chagrin of my wife. And Susie Chapstick is super fun, like pop, feels like a Harvey Fox song. Fancy Sauce, Don't Listen to the Haters, aka Nick, it's a super fun closer. And more than anything else, it sounds great in Dolby Atmos. Another plug for Apple Music, we're sponsored. So I've got it in my 4 slot, which is much higher than I would have expected Green Day's 14th album to be in. So my hat's off, my applause to the boys for having a return to form.
I'd say it's in number 3 slot for me. See, I'm not just a fourth contrarian. Last album isn't always the worst album.
And now that we've been through the whole discography, I've realized that you went the whole episode without saying something was the worst thing you'd ever heard, which I think might be a first of our
That's
episodes.
true, but I don't know. I said that F-word time was the cringiest lyrics ever put to thing. But no, I mean, Green Day has a surprisingly, even the trilogy, it's more just like bland than it is bad, other than like 1 or 2 songs. Like I'd say Green Day and Sum 41 have the most consistent discographies of the bands that we've covered. And again, with Green Day, there's albums that are like worse than others, but there's nothing where it's like, okay, turn it off. Even with the trilogy, it's like if I just had to hear them once, they'd probably be alright. Yeah, other than Nightlife. Even then, if they had taken that like rap part out and it had just been like a weird instrumental thing, kind of like the surf thing, I think they could have saved that and just had him do that deal. And it could have just been like an interlude. 5 favorite songs are going to be Bobby Sox, from Saviors. Dilemma from Saviors. 1981 from Saviors. Coma City from Saviors. And Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Yeah, I mean, it was good at first. If Saviors didn't exist, I would probably just pick like their big singles, you know, like Boulevard of Broken Dreams and American Idiot. But I think Saviors, just that stuff blows it out of the water.
It's crazy. Really, I felt like I was gonna be, I don't know, accused of recency bias, but I've got Dilemma and Bobby Sox in my top 5 as well.
Yeah, because they're great.
They are. They're really good. I sort of cheated and I put Holiday / Boulevard of Broken Dreams as one song to get them both in there. And then I threw Hitchin' a Ride and Jesus of Suburbia in there as well, just because I think they're songs that the band do really well. But that's it. That's Green Day. What a landslide of a band. I understand why they are one of the godfathers of pop punk and punk music in general.
Yep, definitely. I think it's a really, really great band. Love their whole discography. Go check them out and check out the live from Reading, or Reading, however you want to pronounce it. That live, it's all on YouTube. And
I'm surprised you don't know about Reading Fest.
No, I know about it.
I just before this video.
Like reading to me as an American.
All right, for us here at the Discography Dudes, we thank you for listening. I'm sure no one stood to the end of this very long video, but we made it just the same. As a special treat, I will now debut for the first time ever the Holiday Boulevard Broken Dreams music video from 12-year-old Joey McKenna. Thank you for your time.
I walk